What's happening, Reds? Welcome back to the channel. A bit of a touchy topic today. That is Jordan Henderson's future at the club or away from the club. Obviously, it's been reported in the paper that he is keen on a move, let's put it that way. Moving to Saudi Arabia. I'm going to try and split this video up into 3 parts, maybe. May go, obviously, off on a tangent when I start talking about it. But the main 3 topics I want to talk about is obviously what it would mean for Jordan Henderson, whether he should stay, go, and if he does, personally, what it is for him. So more of, obviously, a personal aspect. Secondly, I want to talk about, obviously, all the human rights and LGBT fiasco surrounding, obviously, the potential transfer. And then thirdly, I want to end it on a better note, hopefully. Obviously, if he did leave, talk about potential signings, who would be able to fill his boots, so to speak. Because obviously it's not just Henderson that's in the limelight. There is the talk of Fabinho leaving as well. But we're going to concentrate on Henderson today. Yeah, so I'm going to try and just kind of hold it to those 3 key topics. But as I say, if we end up going off on a tangent, it's just because obviously I'm in the flow, so to speak. But yeah, firstly, we're going to talk about what I mean to Jordan Henderson. So yeah, unless you've been living under a rock, you will have heard that Jordan Henderson is on the potential verge of joining Saudi Pro League team Ettifaq, I think it's pronounced. If it's not, I've probably butchered that. But yeah, there's rumours that they obviously, Steven Gerrard's now the manager of their team, and first point of call is trying to persuade Jordan Henderson to join him out there. We'll just go through obviously a few facts and figures early doors. So it's rumoured that Henderson will be set to earn £36.4 million a year playing in Saudi, which obviously works out about just over £3 million a month, 700 grand a week, £100,000 a day. So when we talk about, obviously, considering he's on about around 190 grand maybe at Liverpool, it's from a money aspect, as you probably can obviously realise, it's hard to even turn down. He's in the twilight, let's just say, of his career. He's 32, saying that he's still got a few years left at the top of, obviously, the top of the football pyramid. But, he is getting to those years where he's got to start looking after himself in the sense of, obviously, fitness a bit more. You've seen him come back to training this week. He looks in impeccable physical condition, but he has got to try that a little bit harder. We've seen it with Millie over the last 3 or 4 years. He had to go above and beyond to put his body through some tremendous, obviously, training to make sure he was still fit enough to play for Liverpool when asked upon. So, he is getting to that age where if he does move and goes on goes and earns a massive wage, then you can't really begrudge him. And let's face it, from his own personal point of view, he's spent the last 12 to 18 months getting absolutely slandered online by, obviously, fans, obviously Twitter. Let's not dive in too much into, obviously, Twitter fans. People who, go to the match, understand what Jordan Henderson represents and what he's done for this club. He's lifted everything. He's probably, in my personal opinion, he's the best Liverpool captain in my era. And that's saying something because Steven Gerrard's my hero. But I do think Jordan Henderson, I've made a video on it, I'm not going to go over it again. I do think Jordan Henderson is a better captain than Gerrard ever was. Not massively. I just think he's a better manager of, obviously, the team that he's been in and how he goes about being a captain. I think it's quite obvious from, obviously, his leadership through the COVID things with the NHS and obviously all the, human rights issues that he's tackled head on, which we'll get into later. Don't worry. I think it's fair to say Jordan Henderson has been utter professional up to this point, and he's had to put up with some stick online, let's put it that way, of obviously he's not good enough, get out my club, he shouldn't be here, this, that and the other. And it sickens me to see, to be honest with you. He's 32, 33 years old. He's not exactly a dinosaur. Let's put it that way. And, I get that he's not had a great 12 months prior. But if I'm Jordan Henderson, I would feel like I've got a point to prove to those particular people. But anyway, begrudging that, if he did move after all the stick that he's taken, could you blame him? He may have I don't think Jordan Henderson would, but if he did have any little doubt that he is not capable of playing at the top level of, obviously, for Liverpool anymore, these facts and these figures that are coming through and reported in the paper are humongous. They're too hard to turn down. Let's face it, I'm obviously in my day job, if someone said to me, you know what, you can quadruple your wages. Or say someone said, they said, pay me £10,000 a month, for instance, to go and work out in Saudi for, say, 6 months, 12 months. Regardless of my thoughts of the country, you, me, and anybody else would go and obviously, you know, take advantage of that. So even though he's a professional football player, and I understand he earns a lot of money, he's a multi-millionaire, this type of money that he could earn will eclipse anything that he has earned and could earn going forward. It's pretty hard to turn down. And let's face it, Jordan Henderson wasn't, this is going to sound really horrible, I love him to bits, but he's not the most gifted of football players. And what I mean by that is it didn't come naturally. He's had to work hard. He's had to put a lot of effort through over the years. If you look at, obviously, when we signed him from Sunderland, people were like, who's this kid coming through? Why is Dalglish bought him? Brendan Rodgers wanted to get rid of him at one point, and he said, no, I'm staying, I'm proving myself. And he became the captain of Liverpool. And as I say, it's not like when Gerrard first came on the scene, scored a few worldies, crunching tackles. We just knew he was a world-class player. Jordan Henderson, it might not be that elite football player or that world-class football player, but he's a bracket underneath because of the effort and obviously the work that he's put into his game. So if anybody deserves this, in my opinion, don't get me wrong, nobody's worth £700,000 a week in any capacity. But if I'm Jordan Henderson, I look at my career, look what I've done in it, look what I've won. Obviously, you know, the amount of effort and stuff I've had, you know, turning, you know, basically hit loads of haters through the year of not wanting him to obviously become a big star for Liverpool and obviously vice captain for England. I'm thinking about it. It's a massive opportunity for him. And all these people online who are obviously saying, oh, you know, if it doesn't materialise, he can't come back. I've seen that today. Just because he's thinking about it, or he might have said, yeah, I agree to leave if it helped me. He might have turned around to Klopp and gone, do you know what, I'll leave. And obviously I understand it's great for me. But if you, not that you don't want me, but if you think that the money you'd get for me, obviously the minutes that I'd play can be distributed elsewhere to help the team, then I'll shake your hand and we'll part ways. That might have been the conversation with Klopp. You never know. But you cannot deny him the opportunity to make this amount of money. He's worked hard all his life. And as I say, if I'm him, I'm thinking about it seriously. I must admit, I did message him because some people will know he does follow Top of the Cop. So I messaged him, didn't get any reply. I didn't expect to, but it was along the lines of, I hope these rumours aren't true, and I hope that you consider staying and proving the haters wrong. You come back in great shape, help the new signings, help the transition. It's not been his fault. You can blame FSG, you can blame Klopp for not doing it quicker, but the likes of Millie, maybe Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, Keita, Ox, they should have all maybe left in dribs and drabs over the last 2 or 3 years, not in one window. So for Liverpool to lose Millie, Henderson and Fabinho in one particular transfer window, that'd be absolutely catastrophic. I understand the players that are coming in are better, younger, in the sense of obviously going forward, but it's a lot of leadership, a lot of experience to be dumping out of the team in one go. And that was my words to him. Help the new kids, help the team gel, get the synergy going, and then maybe leave next year. But then obviously you look at the money, you can't obviously dispute the fact that it would be life-changing for him. Anyway, that's what I want to leave it at that point. We're going to talk about the human rights and the LGBT situation now. So as we know, the Qatar World Cup cropped up plenty of talking points around human rights and obviously LGBT issues when going to the country. And, everything around the World Cup, the way the media handled it, was spot on. We shouldn't have to watch the biggest footballing stage on the planet be held in a country where human rights, especially for obviously the workers and things, and obviously LGBT, they're not an inclusive country. Let's just put it. I'm not very good with the terminology for everything, as you can probably gather. But as I say, why should the World Cup, not just England, the world, have to watch their biggest and most grossing financially, revenue-wise, viewership-wise, be held in a country that are set so far back in their ways? I got that. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people who will say, yeah, they're completely out of touch with obviously the modern day. But who are we to tell them what to do? Okay, You can have that argument. That's not a problem. But when we talk about us, the world, watching the biggest footballing competition in world football in that country, questions were asked and a lot of them were answered, and I think it got the exposure that obviously it needed. I get all that, okay? So now we look back, obviously, at Jordan Henderson, what he's done. As I mentioned before, touched on it before, during COVID with the NHS, getting all the Premier League captains together, saying we've got to do something. Obviously, he stood, and obviously his count, I think it was run for a certain amount of time by a specific group to promote all these amazing causes. He's done a lot from a Liverpool and England point of view. Now, I've got my point may not be what you probably think it should be, but it's more along the lines of, as I say, a positive look if he does leave. So let's just say in hindsight, Jordan Henderson leaves Liverpool, he goes to the Saudi. People are going to be saying, how can he do that after everything that's happened? Right, firstly, as I mentioned before, if someone came to me and said to my day job, will you go to Saudi Arabia 6 months, you can earn absolute shed loads of money, me or you or anybody else listening to this, then you're going to go. You're not going to be going, I'm not going to go over there because of human rights. You're going to go because you're going to earn money. I understand, before anyone jumps on me, he's famous, he's earned a lot of money, he's a public figure. But just between you and me, we would do it without a shadow of a doubt. If I could go to Saudi Arabia and earn in a year what it'd take me maybe 5 years to earn back at home, tax-free, it's a non-runner, you're doing it. Right, okay, so that's the first point in the sense of we would do it, so why should we hold Jordan Henderson responsible if he wants to do it? Okay, right, now, my issue with obviously the human rights situation is the World Cup was a world stage. It was everything. It was inclusive of everybody. It meant the LGBT community were going to that country and they were worried about obviously the way they were going to be treated. Jordan Henderson going to Saudi Arabia is a completely different scenario. No one's going to be going with him. It's not going to be affecting the LGBT community. It's not going to be affecting anything like that. We're not going to the country. We're staying obviously where we are. He's just going to apply a trade for a few years. That's my first point. I understand with the World Cup, people worried about going. Then they were thinking, well, if I can't go and watch my country, why should I have to if I don't feel safe there? I get all that. I feel personally it's a completely different scenario to a world stage event, to one person going to earn some money. Secondly, unless maybe that's the second. Thirdly, I don't know. I feel with what the Saudis will know about what Jordan Henderson's done in the sense of all these campaigns, all these movements that he's obviously promoted. So when he goes there, he's going to be in a public figure. People may look at him different and be like, who's he? Why did he do it? Why is he promoted this? And it might be a bigger talking point when the Saudis see the likes of Ronaldo, Benzema, Jordan Henderson, as I say, if he goes, Fabinho, if he goes, all these other players who obviously gone, we've got, a dozen, if not a couple of dozen of European world-class players that have gone to the Saudi League. They're all obviously going to get followed on social media. People in Saudi are then going to see pictures and, see him or see them out and about with their families, sharing pictures on the internet. And it's going to help them as a state realise, okay, maybe we are maybe we are a little bit set back in our ways. Maybe we do need to start being more inclusive with all these little things. And let's face it, the World Cup, before the World Cup, there was a massive, obviously, when it comes down to LGBT, there was a massive stamp on, like, if you come to our country and you do this, this is going to happen to you. And as the months went by, officials and obviously presidents of the world, whatever it was, the federations, the World Cup, they were coming out and going, okay, yeah, no, it's fine. We encourage bringing everyone together. So seeing these players who obviously experience the life that me and you obviously experience, it may make them think twice and it may help them as a nation. Come on. And I can't see Jordan Henderson won't be going there going, do you know what, 700 grand a week, I couldn't give a shit about what obviously goes on in the country. He'll be going there to carry on his obviously promotion of all these causes. He'll be going on to make a statement of, yeah, I am the face from the Premier League, I'm the captain of Liverpool and the vice captain of England. I'm very much still, a big time player. I want to further my cause and maybe teach you what you should be doing. Let's face it. Whew, right, glad that was over. On to transfers. Hopefully I can talk a little bit more freely without maybe putting my foot in it with this one. But obviously, if Jordan Henderson leaves, and maybe even Fabinho leaves, it's going to leave us in a position where we'll have lost Millie, Henderson, Fabinho, Keita and Ox. The only other outstanding midfielder that you could say that we'd still have would be Thiago, and we understand his issues with injuries. So technically we're going to be losing majority of our midfield, and we've signed 2, although world-class midfielders. They've never played together. It's a new team, it's a new system. It's going to be a massive, massive issue if this all does happen. This is why I'm kind of tinkering on the fact that I hope Henderson stays for a year, for what I mentioned before, in the sense of obviously, helping new signings bed in. But we're talking about if he does leave. And a few of the rumoured players that have been mentioned are obviously Moises Caicedo, still, Lavia. Tchouameni's been mentioned as well, and that's a great pool of players. Valverde's on the brink, Barella. There's a few more that I may think of as we're talking, and I just kind of want to give my thoughts on what direction we could go on. So firstly, let's talk about Caicedo. Caicedo's shown that he is a world-class midfielder, but I do have concerns with him, I'm not going to lie. If he's going to cost anywhere near 100 million, which is being reported, I would not touch that transfer, and I don't think Liverpool, FSG would do that anyway. It'd have to be around 60 or 70 million, somewhere around that. Obviously, Szoboszlai transfer fee. But I understand it's a Premier League team, so it may cost a little more. But here's my issue with Caicedo. Yes, I watched him last season. Yes, he had moments of brilliance. Yes, he looks like a complete midfielder. But towards the tail end of the season, when Brighton were obviously in the semi-final of the FA Cup, they were obviously pushing for obviously 4th and dropped a little bit. McAllister was the standout midfielder for me. We've got him. Great. 35 million, by the way. What a bargain. Ridiculous fee. And Caicedo was getting played right back. Now, I know some people will go, yeah, good, well, he didn't have a right back at the time, blah, 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 but they were playing McAllister, that is it, and Seco, the young lad. He's brilliant, by the way. He's one I would love Liverpool to sign at some point over the next few years. But they were playing him right back. Now, if he's the world-class defensive mid that we need, and he's not getting into that defensive mid position for Brighton, because if he's their best, you play him in the position. And also when he was in those positions, I felt sometimes like I'd look around, he'd be running around like a headless chicken, and then you see the likes of McAllister saying, sort your head out type of thing. There was like little moments in the game, especially against, I think they played Man United in the FA Cup semi-final, which Man United didn't lay a glove on them, by the way. They were just unlucky they couldn't score, let's face it, and then he played them in the league as well. Just noticed in both those games, he kind of looked like a fish out of water, and as I say, his teammates were having a little nibble at him as to say, sort your head out, and there's just something about him that, especially for that price tag that's been rumoured, I really wouldn't touch it if that's the case. If we're talking about 50, 60 million, then fair enough, but I wouldn't be looking north of that, if I'm being honest. And I say I do have my doubts with him, but I understand that coming into Liverpool team, he could be perfect. I do get that, but still, I think it'd be a massive gamble at the price. Which leads me nicely on to 2 midfielders at Real Madrid. We kind of been linked with them both, but obviously Tchouameni, we were in for big time last season. He chose Real Madrid. Can't blame him for that. But his time at Real Madrid has been limited. His game time, they've just signed Jude Bellingham. Obviously, Modric is staying. And I don't know. I just feel like he wants more game time. He potentially could want to move to Liverpool. And if obviously Real Madrid want to fund a move for Mbappe, they're going to be looking at selling these players that maybe, don't want to hang about and wait for the likes of Kroos and Modric to retire. So for me, Tchouameni is probably my preferred option between him and Caicedo. It's probably going to look around about the same price for them as well. And I just feel like he would suit Klopp's system more than Caicedo. Caicedo's kind of got that lightweight Wijnaldum look to him. Could be completely wrong there. Somebody else who follows football may have a completely different take on me, but I just feel like he's a bit of a lightweight Wijnaldum. And yeah, Tchouameni for me would be the one. But obviously there is Valverde as well from Real Madrid. I understand he probably won't want to join Liverpool, and be honest. The stuff he used to say about Liverpool when we used to play in the Champions League, it's a bit like Bernardo Silva type of bullshit, to be honest with you. It could be completely different if he had a red shirt on, but a very high. I think he thinks he's above Liverpool. I don't think he'd fancy the Premier League either. He's at Real Madrid. He's happy to play right back. He's happy to be passed about. He doesn't seem to want that, that set position like a lot of players do. So for me, I would look at Tchouaméni. I wouldn't really want Caicedo unless if it was Caicedo or nothing, then I'd get Caicedo. We cannot go into next season with no midfield. Look what happened last season. Next, obviously, I want to talk about Lavia. We were linked with him. Well, we are linked with him before the Henderson and Fabinho news broke. And I think we should be signing him regardless if Henderson and Fabinho stay or go. I feel like he would be a perfect understudy for the likes of Fabinho and Henderson in the sense of, he can learn from them. I don't think he'd be quite ready to lead the defensive midline, so to speak, on his own. I do feel in a few years' time, a pivot of Lavia and Bajcetic could be unbelievable for Liverpool. The legs that they'd have in that midfield too, that could be the way forward with the likes of Szoboszlai a bit further forward. McAllister in that too with one of those, whether Badge or Lavia. I can see that. I can see those being really good, but at the moment, if Lavia came in and he was Fabinho's replacement, it's obviously, regardless of his talent, he's 19 years old, he may be great on the eye, but in those big games, he may give away silly free kicks. He's quite rash. If you look at the YouTube videos of him, you see him making these amazing challenges, and that could cost us if we get into, say, like a Champions League semi-final again in a few years' time. Well, Europa League semi-final, and he goes and does that on the edge of the box. You can see that potentially being an issue. So wouldn't want him to be leading the line. We should be signing him regardless of who stays and who goes. But yeah, he'd be a brilliant signing for Liverpool. Really do hope we get that one across the line regardless. And the next one that is staring us in the face, he's already obviously at the club, is Trent Alexander-Arnold. We could potentially move him into a right centre mid position and sign a right back. I understand there's not many right backs out there at the moment, especially in a system that we're going to play. I understand people are saying we're going to play 3 at the back, but I don't feel like we will. I think we'll still play 4 at the back with Trent doing that inside midfield role. But that is another option if we move Trent into midfield, full time. That could be Henderson's replacement, and we could find a capable right back. I'm not going to discuss right backs at this point. That's just another option. Of course, the Khéphren Thuram rumours have emerged again now. Obviously, this has come out, and that's all it is. It's just rumours. There's no more or less action, so to speak, from Liverpool's point of view or from his point of view than there was 24 hours ago. But obviously, he's resurfaced because of obviously the situation we're in. Again, another great youngster, but I don't think I'd want him to lead the line in the sense of, if we're losing 3 senior players at the club. I want it to be either, a 26, 27-year-old Premier League proven midfielder or a world-class player like Tchouaméni. I feel like they're the options. I feel like Tchouaméni would be the perfect answer. I think Caicedo would be the one if we couldn't get anybody else. I think Lavia should be signed regardless. I don't think he needs to be embedded and helped by these senior players, especially for the first 12 months, if not for a couple of years. He's still only a youngster. We've seen what it's like with bringing Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott into this team at the moment. There's a lot of potential signings. Let me know down below anyway for some of the players you'd like to see in a Liverpool shirt if we did lose Henderson and Fabinho. As I say, try and think of, if we're thinking wonder kids, they can't just come in and play in the Premier League and be expected to be amazing. The likes of Lavia and obviously, any younger players, they cannot be expected to come in and lead the line. We've either got to sign one world-class player and hope obviously that he can do a job in the Premier League, or we need to find a few to go around our current squad. So it's a bit of a tricky situation, to be honest with you, and I'm kind of just mumbling a bit now, so we'll leave it there. But yeah, let me know in the comments who you'd like to see Liverpool sign. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the Jordan Henderson situation. For me, he should go. If Klopp has told him he can go, as long as Liverpool's, the price that Liverpool are asking for is paid, good luck to him. I hope he helps all the causes that he's obviously stood by for all these years. If he does, Jordan, obviously you'll know from obviously our conversations, obviously the way I feel about you. I've loved everything you've done for our club. If you do leave, I hope you see this, and I wish you all the best for the future. Anyway, ta-ra.